most of us are born into places and situations that we didn't ask for. Sometimes society they don't grasp that. My purpose is to get out to educate our people, to give them the information that can make them better or make life better for them, but also to empower them.
Hi everyone, this is Raina Carrillo with Purpose and Passion. And let me share some shout outs because today I'm wearing my awesome shirt. And I want to give a huge shout out to all in co-working of Inglewood. You can find this shirt on inglewoodcoworking.com. Huge shout out to the CEO, Matthew Newman. He's the one that has this hidden jewel off of Crenshaw on 110th where we do the filming. So I'm really excited about that. So come out and support your local business owners. If you want to do a workshop here, you can. If you don't have the money to rent your own office and you just need some internet to make some copies and things of that nature and plug your laptop to be able to work in your entrepreneur business you have, this is the perfect location. So with that to say, once again, this is Raina Carrillo with Purpose and Passion. I'm excited today because I have one of my partners called Ben, aka Taco Owens, and I'm so happy that you're here today.
Oh, thank you for the invite. Good to see you again.
Yes. I'm really happy. It brings me back to how we worked together with Saya.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a while,
Yes.
and I'm just inspired that you're still doing the work. You still helping folks reform and change their lives, and you and your testimony. So my hat's off to you.
Oh, thank you, Taco. Oh, thank you. You're giving my flowers now while I'm alive. Well, I want you to take our viewers down back memory lane. Like, where were your parents from? How did they meet? And where were you born and raised?
Okay, so my parents, as you can see, I'm not. It's kind of hard for people to define what I am. Is this dude? Is he Mexican, Puerto Rican, Samoan? So I am mixed. My mother's Native American. My father's black. I have an inside joke that I said my ancestors were imported and exported. So, um, I'm mixed with black and Indian. My parents, my mother's from Oklahoma, off the reservation. My father, he's from Alabama. And I don't know how they met, but eventually they met. I grew up in Gardena.
Okay.
So that's, went to elementary school, everything went there. I grew up in a home with my two brothers and my one sister. And out of the four of us, uh, I was the one that decided to join a gang.
Yes.
Now it's ironic because we all lived in the same house. We all watched the same cartoons, ate the same cereal, but it was just something that was fascinating about gangs that I got drawn into.
Yes.
And with the gang culture came the drugs and the crime and the violence and all of that. And so I took my path where being in that culture takes you, from juvenile hall to the county jails, to state prison, federal prison. And unbeknownst to me at that time, even as a young boy joining a gang around 12 years old, it was a rites of passage. It was just something that my friends were doing, and it wasn't ostracized. It wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yes.
I don't think it was taken as serious as it being a problem in the future. Um, but again, it took me down a path and a culture that kind of it's embedded in me. Some of the the things, or let's say some of my principles, they come from that. But today, not my behavior.
Yes,
So even though I can still relate to, I have empathy for, there's just some things that I wouldn't do now that I did then.
Yes.
Some of the choices that I made. And so it just got to a point in my life where, again, I did everything, from going to jail, going to prison, being shot, all of those things. And, I just kind of I did everything on the to-do list.
Yes.
And so it was just a point in my life that I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something positive. for the same neighborhood that I love. I said, I want to do something different. I don't want them to follow my path and go to jail, get shot, get killed, things like that. I want to be able to encourage them to do something productive with their
Yes.
lives because a lot of the things that I went through, it was a waste. I didn't have to go to prison, didn't have to get shot. That could have been avoided. And so God just gave me a feeling of empathy
Hmm.
and of atonement. That if I wanted
Yes.
to give back or redemption, then here, help your people out. If you don't want them to go down your path, then here's an opportunity. So I start networking with other nonprofits and folks that were already doing it, and opened up my own agency in Gardena. It's called Detours Mentoring Group.
Yes.
I've been there probably 18 years now, but I'm also connected with Ceasefire and the Grid and so many other things that are there to help people transform their lives, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, we're on purpose and passion. So my question to you is just like looking at, reflecting from your life. And sometimes when we're immature, we make the wrong choices, right?
Yeah,
When we become more mature in life with wisdom, then we make better choices, right?
right.
And so reflecting from what your story is and how you shared it with us today was more of, now we're in 2023. What is your purpose and passion right now?
Well, my purpose is, and my passion is to revive justice uh, for our people
Yes.
who have been disenfranchised. So there's a lot of things that happen to us and that are happening today that happened a long time ago that we
Yes.
didn't have any control over. And sometimes it's just folks that say, oh, they're bad people, they this and that. And, it's not because of their history, but sometimes it is.
Yes.
So I talked about my parents and them getting together or whatever. So I was born in the 60s. And in the 60s, it was illegal for interracial marriage.
Yes, correct.
So there was a law, there was a system that says no matter how much you two people love each other, you can't be married. It's against the law. And so they broke the law, and um, they created me, procreated me.
Yes.
So I was born a bastard. I was born a bastard because my parents couldn't marry because there was a law that said that.
Yeah.
Now, moving fast forward to today, that would be insane for people to say, you can't marry who you love or what have you. So that was just one illustration of how a system can impact you. It can determine where you live, what
Yes.
community that you're in. And the reality of it is, you can ask any child, where do they want to live, and they don't get to say so. They don't have the input on where they're going to live.
Correct.
And as a matter of fact, they don't even have say so on who their parents are. So a lot of us, if not most of us, are born into places and situations that we didn't ask for.
Yes, I agree.
And I think sometimes society, they don't grasp that. They just say, look at those people, look how they're behaving, looking, you know. So my purpose is to get out to educate our people,
Hmm.
um, and to give them the information that could make them better or make life better for them, but also to empower them. You know, we are a very, very resilient people. We're very intelligent. I'm talking about culturally,
Hmm.
and we have a lot of opportunities. But sometimes we overlook that because we're looking so much at the problem that we don't see the potential that we have
Yeah,
to be able to change things.
man, that's a good one. I love the way you answered that. So going back down memory lane, when you think about prison, and this is like the message to the youth or young adults that haven't even touched the system, right? They're in their 20s or whatever. Like, what was one of the aha moments in prison, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have those eye opener moments, right, of reflection, and
Right.
then you have those moments where it's like, this was the worst experience ever because of this situation that opened my eyes to know that I need to make a change within myself.
To be honest, I didn't have my aha moment in prison. Um, Again, growing up at a very young age, I began going to jail, going to juvenile hall, and I began to condition myself that I anticipated that, okay, I went to juvenile hall, got
Yeah.
that out the way. I went to camp, got that out the way. Went to county jail, got it. So it's kind of like
Like a
knowing,
graduation check, right? Like
yeah,
elementary,
yeah,
junior high, high school, college.
yeah, and just going right up the ladder because
Yes.
it kind of like this is what you should anticipate in being in the gang. You can
Yes.
expect it. All of these things are going to happen to you. So whenever I did go to jail, I just go in my zone. I mean, I'm in jail. There ain't no crying. Ain't none of this. Ain't no changing. Nothing. This is just you got to deal with what
Yes.
that culture says in prison. You know,
Yes.
it ain't. And I'm like, and in most cases, I'm running into folks I was in juvenile hall with or camp or the county jail. So we all kind of like know, get in the zone. We're in the prison zone. We're not
Yeah.
doing all this other stuff. My aha moment came actually when things were going good for me. When I was married, had four
Oh.
children, had a job, was hustling a little bit, and I had a drug problem. Even though I was still able to make money, I had a drug problem,
Yeah.
and it was PCP.
Yeah.
My drug of choice
It's a
was
hell of a
PCP.
drug. I thought
It-
Sherm was off the hook.
yeah,
You bit me. You beat me, Taco.
that was my drug of choice. That was because I tried everything else, and I couldn't afford crack. I just didn't see the point of, my friends, we would go make money or whatever, and I seen how much money you can make off crack. So I said, no, I don't want to try that. I didn't like how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And then weed, same thing. I didn't really like it. It just kind of took too much to get me there. But when I was able to smoke PCP, I said, yeah, this is
This
this
is
is
it.
it.
Yeah.
This is the one for me. And one day again, like I said, I was living this life. Had money, had everything going on. I still, you know, enjoyed to smoke my stick every now and
Yeah.
then. And one day I smoked a stick, and my smoking sherm, um, I had a process. It was like cheese and crackers.
Uh
So
huh.
if I'm gonna smoke a stick, I'm gonna have a tall can of Old English.
Okay.
And so I was by myself again. Everything good in my life, and I'm smoking a stick and I'm drinking my Old English. And I said, God, if you can give me something better than this, I'll never get high again.
Wow.
And that was June the 12th, 1993. And never looked back since then. Never got high again, never drank again. And it changed my life because I began to make different decisions, and
Yes.
I couldn't figure it out. Like, even though you got all this going on, every time you smoke a stick, that might set you back 6 months, or you
Yes.
might make a decision or neglect something, and then now that's going to cost you. It might cost you your freedom, it might cost you an opportunity, whatever it was. And I wasn't taking that into account. But the moment that I did that, I began to see the difference in my life. Now, granted, that was 1993. It wasn't until 1997 I went to federal prison.
Hey.
So by this time, man, I already had my epiphany. So I'm in jail, and I'm not in that zone to where I was used to going in, because I'm a father of four. I had some responsibilities, and I'm thinking, you know, uh, so I went in there with the same mindset as to what I was doing on the streets. I was doing productive things, wasn't getting high, and it kind of caught me off guard because the indictment was, something that I did previously.
Yeah.
So I didn't anticipate on going to jail. I'm like, I'm doing good. I ain't bother nobody, yeah. And I ended up going to federal prison. So in there, I was still practicing what I was preaching, and it was
Mm.
peace movement because in 1992 I was a part of, the peace treaty stuff that was going on in LA. And then again in 1997 when I went there, I was still about that.
Yes.
And so when I came home, I just reconnected with the peacemakers and said, hey, this is what I want to do. And that's what I've still been doing.
It was crazy because yesterday I had the opportunity to see Khalid Shaw, and then I forgot the other guy's name, Akil. He lives far away now, out of California, or I think that's his name. I keep
Aquila?
forgetting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Thank you,
Aquila.
thank you.
Yeah.
And then the mayor of LA was there. It was just like everybody, like just
Mm-hmm.
everybody showed up, and it was good to see so many people. And came late because my supervisor didn't tell me on time, like, hey, we're supposed to be here. But people were like happy to see me, and they were like, Raina, we saw you on television, like on the footage. And I'm like, oh, really? What was I saying? They're like, we don't know. You just look pretty. And it had me cracking up. I'm like, okay, well, as long as I look pretty, that's all that matters, I guess. I don't know. But it was good to see, you know, our peace, peace builders, our peacemakers, our gang interventionists, and just the leaders way before myself, and because of mayor and gang intervention and things of that nature, Mr. Khalid Shaw played a big role in my
Yeah.
life in that,
Yeah.
and and I just remember like working in different areas that I wasn't from, 'cause I'm from Inglewood, but building those relationships with team members, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
yourself and myself. And then going out through Saya to like, other grids like Boyle Heights,
Mm-hmm.
with Aztec Rising through Lincoln Heights and the avenues and Pico Union.
Right.
Like I always tell people, it's like the hoods are the hoods. They have similarities, but they're different and unique
Mm-hmm.
in its own way.
Yeah.
And so I just, hearing your story for me, it's inspiring. I also feel like when you're telling your testimony about God, like if you could just give me something better, you know, to do, you know, I can be more productive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he answered your prayers. And that's kind of like my story, like in 97 when my homeboy tried to kill me. And I had basically told God, like, you abandoned me. I had that one-on-one because I got molested and I blamed God for it. And I was sometimes I reflect back and I'm all like, in the Bible it says the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but God comes to bring you life. So it's so easy for us to go through horrible things in our lives and we blame God automatically.
Right.
We never
Right.
blame the devil,
Right.
but we always blame God.
Right.
So when I had that moment um, to retaliate, I remember I had that moment of saying like, if you spare me, I promise I'll change my life. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Right.
And he did spare me, and I did change my life.
Right.
And so I always feel like, you know, right now is just a aha moment because right now I'm going through personal problems, and I feel like God is not answering my prayers. But when I just thought about it right now, it was like, man, he answered your prayer, he answered my prayers. So whatever I'm praying for currently is not probably going fast enough for me,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But maybe I think there's a part of going through the mix,
Yeah. Yeah.
to experience it, to grow from it, and just to let God handle it
Yeah. Yeah.
and just trust God in the process.
Right.
So right now I just had an aha moment.
Mm.
Like, wow, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't feel frustrated and be like, God, why are you not answering my prayer? Why is this happening? Why am I being
Yeah.
hurt? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I need to just step back a little bit and just trust God, which is so hard in this situation because it's not me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's hard. You can't control other people.
No, you can't.
Believing Before Seeing, a new book by Candace Barr, teaching you how to believe into existence. Available now for pre-order.
And we can't control God.
Yes.
And I felt sometimes that I did treat God as Santa Claus. I wanted him to do this for me, do that for me,
Yes.
and I wanted it right away. But every time I could always look in hindsight, I said, wow, thank you. I'm glad you didn't put me over here or give me this opportunity or give me what I asked for
Yes.
because either it wasn't good for me or I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't mature enough to be able to deal with it. Uh, it's kind of like, so I have my grandson, he's 8, but when he's about 4 years old, uh, a lot of people call him my twin,
Yeah.
and I'm in the bathroom and I'm shaving and he's kind of mimicking everything that I'm doing or
Yes.
whatever. And then so once I'm done shaving, I set the razor down and he reached for the razor. I said, no, you can't use that. He said, but I want to be you, Papa. I'm mimicking you. I
Oh.
said, you can, but you're not ready for it.
Yes.
Because if he would have put that razor on his
He could
face,
have
he
cut
would have
it.
hurt himself.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's what God protects us from sometimes. The things that's going to hurt us now, he said, no, You understand it later, but when
Yes.
it's ready, when you mature for it, when the time is right, you'll get what I have for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard to swallow when you want it then, you want it now,
Yes.
because you feel that it's best for you and it should go
Yes.
this way. And sometimes we think we're smarter than God, and we have to take into account that He's got our best interest.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to have a Sunday service.
No, we needed a Sunday service because I needed it because I've been going through it, boy. Woo! But I like, without telling my business,
Yeah.
fully, but it was like a aha moment, like hearing your story with God, my story with God. He answered our prayers. So even when I'm going through what I'm going through now, I don't have to sit there and just say God is not listening to me.
Right. Right.
It's obviously something that is happening for me to
Right.
learn from it,
Right.
and just pray through it, hoping that the outcome is what I prayed for,
Right.
and stop dwelling on the negative and just focus
Right.
on the positive.
Right.
Man. So yes, I needed that. We needed Sunday service on a Wednesday, even though it airs on a Friday. So, can you tell the viewers what are you doing now with your nonprofit? Like, what are the services you provide through your nonprofit to the community?
So we offer different services. They're all community based. We have substance abuse, parenting, um, social justice, people having problems within the justice system, restorative justice, people who get out of prison and want to give back, things like that. One of the programs we just finished was a program with a community beautification ambassador,
Yes.
where we get people from the community to clean up their own community.
Yes.
All the trash, graffiti, all of that. And we give them a stipend to do it. They make sure that it's safe to be able to do it, give them all the equipment that they need, but also to give them an empowerment opportunity. So the kids are involved, they get a stipend. And it's just a matter of getting folks to take pride in their community. You love your neighborhood. Let's clean up a lot of trash and a lot of other stuff. I believe that if you look better, you feel better.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And so that kind of applies to our communities. If we clean our communities up, they look better. We take more pride in it. We won't, throw trash around. We won't write graffiti on the wall. And people can actually tell that we love our community by taking care of it.
Wow. What are your vision and goals for next year? Because next year is going to come so fast. It's not even funny, man.
Yeah.
2024 is coming.
Yeah. Next year, I hope I can slow down a little bit more.
Okay.
And being with you, dating ourselves and going back in time. Sometimes we can take into account, we've been doing this work for a while.
Heck yeah.
And this is one occupation, being an intervention or being a peacemaker, that you can quit or get fired, but still do the work.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the folks still going to call you. You still going to intervene.
Yes.
You're going to be, hey, no, I ain't doing that no more. So I want to be able to find the new peacemakers, the new interventionists and
passing
folks
that torch on.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, because we're getting gray and old and all that. And, granted that we've been privileged by the grace of God to be able to do the work, because I think it takes a special skill set, takes a special talent or a special anointing to be able to do this work.
Amen.
Not anybody can do this work.
Yes.
And I don't say that with pride, but I'm saying that I'm privileged to be able to do the work, to work with people like you and so many other people, that find more peacemakers that want to get on board. I want to be able to sit down and have a glass of iced tea and just relax. And not take those phone calls that somebody else take.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to do that. Like I think about Grid, right? Because Grid decided to create a program within the city, right? But there's been nonprofits forever that's been doing the Grid work way before Grid existed.
Right. Yeah.
And I was reflecting on one of my episodes of it was with Skip, and Skip was sharing his story about when he met the mayor of Inglewood, and talking about the gang problems we have. And the current mayor was just pretty much like, we don't have no gang problems. And it's like, yes, we do. And And one of my visions and goals is to create a grid in the city of Inglewood. I'm going to run again, but this time around, I'm going to have more money and more volunteers.
Okay.
Because it was really hard the first time. But it wasn't hard the hard part was more of the footwork and not having enough volunteers.
Okay.
Or not having volunteers for phone banking.
Right.
Or not having the money to be able to push out the flyers into the community, so they can know who Raina is before they get their ballots in the mail.
Right.
I didn't have enough money for that.
Right.
And so they always say the key is $100,000 to be successful. And I didn't have that at all. I feel like God let me experience this, because I think I only raised maybe $20,000. And I'm like, how did I run for office with $20,000? You know what I mean? All I could say was it was God.
Right.
Like, wow. But, when it comes to gang intervention, it is a passion of mine. And I think about how you were talking about, beautification. Let's just say, in the 4 different grids, and I think about the outskirts of, Lenox right here. And then I think about Tepa, and I think about the Legend Cribs, the Bloods, the Avenues, the Pyrus, And so I think about all these gangs. If we can find one individual from each gang to become a certified gang interventionist, and hold that pride within their community.
Right.
To give back, to mentor kids.
Right.
And then we create all of these gang interventionists in those 4 grids to come to collaborate, like how we do in the grid, right? You have your community meeting. You have IPD at the table in a professional manner,
Right.
Then you have gang intervention that is there to hear out IPD on what's happening statistically in the communities of robberies or whatever, right? And then you have the city of Inglewood and myself, of course, being mayor, I want to be in the grind of the grid. I want to do what Viragosa did when he was running for mayor, and I was working for grid in the city, where when you lose a loved one in your city, that mayor picks up the phone. I want to do that.
Right.
I want to be able to pick up the phone and say my condolences and send some flowers. If I can't make it, then I can have somebody that represents me to come out, because it's important. A mayor is a title. But if you think about mayor, you think about the community voted for you to lead their city. So if you're a leader, you have to use your leadership and not always focus on what's being built business-wise, corporation, the Super Bowl, the concerts, that kind of stuff. You have to be in the trenches of your community. And that's why I'm like, God, you got to allow me to get this $100,000 so I can run in 4 years, so I can be mayor. And now this time around, it's like, when I ran last year, it was for Raina. It was my dream since I was 15. And to be endorsed by Mayor Dorn and Ronald Chief Banks, the retired chief of police of Inglewood, to be endorsed by them too. And they were in my life when I was an at-risk youth. So I knew that was God. But now this time around, I'm just like, all right, Lord, I need to win this, because my heart is in my city. My heart is in my community. And I know how it felt when law enforcement looked at me as not a community member, but as a gang member. And gang members are community members, which means they're residents. And so I have compassion for everybody. You know what I mean? I have compassion for everybody. And because I guess I live that life, if I can change, anybody can change. So how do we hold our next generation of gang interventionists? We have to find them. We have to train them. We have to give them the grit to focus on our community and our youth. And when you start with your youth or the elder, those 2 topics right there makes a person not soft, but the people be like, man, you become soft. And it does. But it's not soft as in a weakness, but it's soft as in it kind of trims your hard exteriors off of you. Because you're with the elders and you're with the children. And it shapes and molds you differently. And so this is the vision that I have, in our communities, to have gang interventionists in our 4 grids, but also to utilize people like yourself to come out and train and do workshops and sessions with our new gang interventionists in the city of Inglewood. This is what I visualize. This is what God is calling me for. And so this time around, when I run for the second time, it's not for me, but for my community.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we have been doing and that we envision doing is changing the narrative of who we are. So I on my journey, on my quest, and doing this work and getting funded to do it, I found out something that when people label us or title us, that stigma comes with it.
Yes.
So the word gang is an immediate turnoff for a lot of people.
Yes.
And that's why somebody said, no, we don't have a gang problem. But if you circle back and say, well, do you have a violence problem? Yeah, we have violence. And so a lot of times the gangs, they get blamed for anytime there's some violence or drive-by shooting, and it makes up 18% of the violence, gang violence.
Yeah.
So if you got 18% is gang, who's responsible for the other violence? So whether it's road rage incidents, or it's domestic, or it's random, or it's a bad drug deal, whatever it might be, it don't have anything to do with gangs. But the moment that you say that I work with gangs,
it's like, whoa.
Right. So what we've been doing, we've been shifting. So we're peacemakers. And because we don't just work with gangs, we work with the community at large. Anybody impacted by violence, whether it's a gang member or not gang member, the playground bully, whoever. So we qualify ourselves as community interventionists now.
Yes.
And community interventionists basically has taken a spin, and we just had a national conference 2 weeks ago, and it's now branded as CVI work. So it's community violence interventionists from here to Baltimore to Chicago. So that's kind of like
CIW, right?
It's kind of like CIW, but it's CVI on a national level.
Okay.
So you might begin to hear the term as CVI work, because the county and other folks are kind of like buying into that, because the grid has its own space.
Yes.
But even that might even change somewhere down the line. So the gang stuff is kind of like, and it takes a special type of skill set, talent, or anointing to deal with that. But there are people who can go work in the community and can put some fires out that don't have nothing to do with gangs. And so we're beginning to see the narrative change from gang intervention to community violence intervention. That kind of like opens up the doors for other folks to participate.
Yes, and not just always the ex-gang members.
Right.
Because there's some people that have a passion to help.
Right.
But they're not considered like that ex-gang member or never been in prison. Or it's like you cannot be a gang intervention if you're not a gang member.
Right. And see what
which that makes sense though. Community violence intervention or community violence prevention. You know what I mean? Or community violence reentry.
Or to even go another step. So it's always kind of like been in the minds of the communities that when you hear the word public safety, it's law enforcement.
Yes.
But in actuality, the peacemakers provide a level of public safety.
Yes.
Because what's happened is that we don't often get to prove something that never happened.
Yeah.
So the fight that you broke up, or the shooting that did never happen because of you,
it's not documented.
But it was public safety.
Yeah.
It was a public safety effort. So again, we're trying to determine how do we get considered when public safety dollars come down, or these community violence intervention dollars come down, that we're here. And we stripping away the stigma that gangs, because there's some folks that say, once a gang member, always
a gang member, yes.
And those are the things that block you from becoming mayor, or puts that stigma onto you, to where, are you going to elect a gang member to be your mayor? No.
Yeah.
Or are you going to elect a peacemaker to be your mayor? Yeah.
Yes, peacemaker.
Yeah. So we got to find our niche and the verbiage, and don't allow people to define us.
Yes.
We have to be able to define
ourselves. Yes, yeah. I love that. To define ourselves. That's beautiful. So Is there anything that you would like to say to our viewers before we close off on purpose and passion, like a word of encouragement or to inspire those that are watching our show today?
Yeah, I would like to say get involved with your community, get involved with your people. The next time you go on social media and you say hello to your 932 friends, think about the people that live on your block that you probably haven't even spoke to, or you might not even have met yet, and you've probably been living there for years at a time. Let's learn how to be more neighborly. If the mantra is love my neighbor or love your
Yes.
neighbor, it's hard for me to love you if I don't know you. So I'm just encourage you to get involved with your community, whether it's beautifying it, uh, seeking out people like Raina that probably needs to be your mayor in your community, and pick the right person who you want to govern over you or make the changes in your community. So get community involved.
Yes. How can our viewers catch you on social media or website?
So after decades of not having social media, I do have an Instagram handle. It's Ben Taco Owens. And again, I'm just on there. You won't find me posting anything unique. I won't be riding a unicycle or anything. I'm just probably kind of boring. But if you want to catch me, I'm always in South LA. I'm in Gardena. Um, and I'm connected. I'm connected to thousands of peacemakers like Raina and some other great people. And if you need peace in your community, give me a call. You can reach me at 310-864-9618. And let's connect.
And before we end the show, why did you pick the name Taco for you?
Or I was kind of almost forced to pick it because I was growing up in an era where foods were like the nicknames. So you had donut and cornbread and chili, and so it was down to two names that were left, and it was Taco or Peaches.
Oh yeah.
So
Taco it is.
that's right. Yeah. You don't want to be interviewing Peaches, and I'm looking like this. I mean,
Yeah, I'd be like, wow, peaches and cream. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I asked you that question because I remember somebody saying, "Oh, is it Taco from Inglewood Family?" And I'm all like, I don't know. I've said I remember hearing Taco, the name Taco, but never met him. But it was just interesting. That's why I was asking.
yeah.
Well, thank you for shedding light on that name. I'm happy they didn't call you Peaches.
Right.
Oh my God. Well, this is Raina Carrillo signing out. Purpose and passion. Till next time. Have a blessed day. Bye.